Hey guys, Trump, now it's being leaked out. He's making a huge decision on who he wants to have to replace Mike Johnson. Guys, this is reporting from Politico. Trump's big Mike Johnson decision. This is huge. We have reports now that Trump is super unhappy with Mike Johnson, and he feels blindsided by Johnson's deal with the Democrats per Politico. So with that, we now have this breaking news that Trump, whenever he's looking at Johnson failed to deliver the debt ceiling suspension in the budget, he said no one thinks he's strong. No one says, dang, this guy's a fighter. This is what they're saying about Mike Johnson. This is what the Trump team is saying. It's time to get this guy out. There's a lot of names being floated around. But with that, with these Trump leaks, these Trump campaign leaks, we're now looking at who could replace him, whether it's Vivek Ramaswamy. I know a lot of people want Elon Musk, but, he's got a lot of things he's doing already. But there's names like Thomas Massie. Rand Paul has floated out there. But Trump said, I need somebody who's going to stand up and follow the agenda. With the government shutdown that almost happened, Trump wanted one thing more than anything else, and that was for the debt ceiling to be raised so that way he could do what he needed to do with the tax cuts and with the economy. And now that he has to do that on his own term, because, he's about to be president in the next, 3 weeks, Trump feels very hurt and feels like he can't trust Johnson with where things are at with the Democrats. We also have now, guys, listen to this. This is huge breaking news. We now have over 50 people confirming that Biden was never in control of the White House. The media is trying to wash their hands clean. It's literally disgusting. Biden should never have been elected. He was a puppet for the Democratic machine the entire time. We now have the evidence, everybody. We also have it where Matt Gaetz' ethics report has been officially released, and it doesn't look good. It really would have put a bad look on Trump's presidency to have him as Attorney General with what came out involving women, drugs, and whatnot. But we have that report that's come out. We also have it where today Biden has officially commuted the sentences of almost every single inmate on death row. 37 out of 40 of them. These people who committed gruesome, horrible crimes against men, women, children, they're now off of death row, and this is what Biden said he wanted to do. And a lot of people are upset because it's like, if Biden is not in charge, we have all these leaked people who's saying he's not really in charge, then who's calling the shots for all these things to happen, especially with the horrible, gruesome thing that happened in New York on the subway with the woman. It's just horrible of what is happening in the crime and violence and the illegal immigrants being involved. But we got a ton of breaking news to show you today, guys. I'm telling you, this is a big one. Just want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button so we can serve you every day with the top news. And if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button, guys. It's free and it really does help to grow the channel. We appreciate it so much. And thank you to all of our members of the channel. Y'all are so amazing. We take the members fees, and thank you to everybody that gives a super chat donation, and we donate that to charity. We gave our biggest donation a couple of days ago on this channel. We do it every single month, and it's all because of you. We want to give back and bring a positive change in this world as we bring all this crazy news. But I want you to listen to this because Steve Bannon, who is in talks with the Trump's campaign, gives us some leaks on what's about to happen next, guys. And I'm telling you, we're about to see some real stuff go down. Check this out.
He's got so much to do with his other stuff. This is upon us to do. This is one of our tasks and purposes. It can never be allowed to happen again. The mainstream media is in a rush to wash their hands of it. With all these stories now, we got 50 people that now confirmed that Biden was never in control, and, we don't know who was making decisions. It's not good enough. It's not going to be good enough.
Nope.
The vast criminal conspiracy against him is also, this is the greatest scandal in the history of the nation. Watergate is like small potatoes. Give me a break. Screw Watergate's a joke compared to this. This is almost mind-boggling in its audacity. For every person out there, from Brennan to all of you, we're going to get to the bottom of it. Think how relentless we were in having this man's back that he came back and had the sweeping victory against all odds. Now we'll be in control of state power.
Mm-hmm.
Now we will be in control of state power. We will never, ever, 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 ever rest until we've gotten to the bottom of this for this republic, or we're not a republic. It can never be allowed. This is a black mark on the history of this country. What's happened is clearly, and this is why it could never be DeSantis. This is why it can never be Nikki Haley. This is why it can never be Chris Christie. It was all a joke and all a waste of time, and that $400 million. And the people that did that don't understand the moment of history and will never understand the moment of history. You can't get them up. You understood it. The deplorables, the garbage, you understood it. You understood it. Do you understand how powerful that is? You understood it from the beginning. You understood it.
100%.
That's when the history of this age is written. It'll be Trump and it'll be this movement. It'll be you. The rest of us will be forgotten. I mean, we'll be footnotes. Tucker, myself, Elon, Vivek, Hannity, all of it. This is this is a hinge of history right here. It's a hinge of history. And let's get back to Gaetz. In fourth turnings, one thing about fourth turnings, people who are so marginal and such nothing burgers at the beginning of the turning become main players. You can see that in the American Revolution. You can see in the formation of the country, which is the one. You can see it in the run up to the Civil War and in Reconstruction. You can see it then in the Great Depression of World War II. The main drivers of the action are totally marginal at the beginning. Who is Matt Gaetz? Matt Gaetz is just some chubby kid running for Congress in 2016 who would meet us on the tarmac with Kayleigh McEnany. And they were fine. They were nice people. We didn't have any time for them because, quite frankly, they were marginalia. They would show up in on the tarmac, and they would be there, and they were, she was doing her thing, and he was running, and they were good. They were good people, but they were not relevant to the task at hand, which was to take down the Clinton mafia.
Ooh.
Right? Of which we did by piercing the blue wall, which they told us was impossible in Michigan and Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. Because the beginning of this coalition, the beginning of the 1932 realignment was right there for everybody. You could see it. You could feel it. And the response to Trump, unlike any response to any political figure in the history of this country, And what has Gaetz become? Think about it. From a chubby kind of nerd sitting on a tarmac. Thank you, Mr. Bannon. Hey, how you doing, man? How's the race going? Is it going good? Fine. Come on, we're going to get you on up early to say something. And we pull into these, like one time, I remember, I think it was in Wellington, Florida, we pulled into the tarmac because you just got to do it right there at the hangar because you don't have time. You got to get out right away. And you let Gaetz say a few words. Are you in the crowd? Hey, there's Matt Gaetz. He's running for Congress. That was in 2016. He took down a Speaker of the House in 2023.
McCarthy.
A couple of years later, 6 years later, 7 years later, he's front and center. Remember him standing in the House with the thing? And now this is McCarthy. This is the cartel telling you, if you step forward and have the courage to do it, we will destroy you. We don't care what's in the ethics report. It's not relevant. It's irrelevant. What we care about is continuing this fight.
Yes.
And we need leaders up in the first, like in Paths of Glory. When Kirk Douglas stands up with the whistle and says, come on, guys, we're going. Those are the kind of guys you need because people fix bayonets and go up and say, I'm going to follow that guy. If he's out there and taking bullets, I'm following him. That's what Trump is. And on a minor scale, that's what Gaetz is. and we can't let them take them out. This is the thing with Hexit. This is what you have to understand. If they can see they can take out your guys, they're going to take them out all day long. It's not going to stop until we make it stop.
100%.
And all these gutless Republicans, how the hell do we get in this situation? The Republican Party has won enough victories. They've used your money and your times and effort enough. How did the country get in here? It's just not these radical Democrats. It's two sides of the same coin. It's this neoliberal, neocon, Washington consensus that runs the country. And they'll fold every time because they're gutless. And they know what the FBI and the CIA and the apparatus will do to them. Until you sit there and go, I don't give two Fs. I don't care. I don't. All I care about is my country. That's what I care about.
Guys, I'm telling you, like, this whole thing about the whole scandal of things covering up with Biden, and then Biden literally comes out and does this today. Like, this is the smallest thing ever, that when we look at what a president can do versus the largest thing ever, towards the end of the presidency, everybody does the pardons, everybody does some crazy stuff, but when you commute the sentences of 37 of the 40 on death row, that they're there for a reason, guys. It is really sad what has happened because the lawlessness. There's this story that came out that's happened where this illegal immigrant who was literally deported, who is now being accused of burning a woman to death on the New York City subway. There's videos. We're not going to show it. It's too graphic. It's just too much. But this Guatemalan illegal alien who was already previously deported, re-entered the U.S. illegally as a getaway, and at an unknown time and location was in New York, and this woman, American citizen, lost her life because of the unvetted border, the unvetted immigrants coming through the border, this known getaway. This is the lawlessness that we got to get away from. And whenever Biden comes and does this, commuting all the sentences, guys, we got a joke for a president. We got a joke for lawfare, for Mayorkas, for all of them. And it's so, like, all the stuff they're trying to make Gaetz look bad. And I don't trust the ethics report. I look at what they're doing, but you know what? They tried to do the same thing to Trump. And just like what Steve Bannon said, there's right now the biggest cover-up ever. This is probably the biggest scandal ever over what has happened with Biden and the cover-up in all the news. Check this out.
Big, huge, monster freaking news weekend. Apparently, we're taking back the Panama Canal and making another bid on Greenland. By the way, both of which are great ideas. In case you missed it, Donald Trump at AmFest. The Panama Canal and Panama's been screwing us over for a long time. I spent a lot of time in Panama, like a lot of time. Outside of the United States, there's nowhere I've spent more time than Panama in my last line of work. Jenna Bush was writing a book over there. Most of the book was done in Panama. So we were down there for a long time. Folks, we're getting just screwed. And Donald Trump, I told you, is transactional. He's like, just like he told NATO, you're not going to screw us over anymore. Mm-hmm. And for all the lefties like, oh my gosh, what is he trying to start a war with Panama? Number one, no, he's not. Number two, it wouldn't even be a war. And I'm not a big global interventionist. We shouldn't be invading Panama. No one's even talking about that. This is how Donald Trump negotiates. This is just how he negotiates. He comes with a maximalist position, and then if we get 50% of what he wanted, it's actually 100% more than anyone else got in the past. That's how it's done. Everybody needs to wake up and smell the roses. This is how it's going to get done. The United States under Joe Biden got trampled on,
100%.
And those days are over. Having said that, the damage from the Biden presidency sadly has not ended. Folks, I'm sorry in the Christmas week to have to deliver some bad news, but I figure we'll get it out in the beginning of the show. What was this guy thinking? Biden commutes the sentences of child killers? This is New York Post, put up the New York Post article for me, guys. Death sentences of child killers or mass murders 2 days before Christmas? Like, whose freaking stupid idea was that? Folks, when I say whose idea was that, I'm asking for a reason. Because now the mainstream media, hilariously, is now all recognizing what we knew the entire time. Joe Biden is not cognitively all there. This was obvious. The videos were there. The audio was there. The leaked anonymous sources from the White House. How much more? So I say to the liberals out there who were pretending forever they didn't know Joe Biden was cognitively compromised. Again, how much more of this are you willing to take? Who made the decision to pardon a bunch of child murderers? It probably wasn't Joe Biden. Here's the craziest take of all. Here's Chris Cillizza. You know what? Put the Washington Post up article first with Cillizza. This guy probably makes, how this guy has survived in, journalism this long is stunning. Here's Chris Cillizza in the Washington Post 2 weeks before the election in 2016. Donald Trump's chances of winning are approaching zero, by Chris Cillizza. The guy is supposed to be a political prognosticator and some kind of journalist with at least some mild predictive powers. This guy has screwed up everything forever. Why? Because they're propagandists. Here's a video of Cillizza that busted out last week. I want you to see, apologizing now for not reporting on Biden's cognitive disorder. And I'm going to say to Cillizza, listen, this isn't personal. I don't dislike you. I don't like you. I don't care. I'm just telling you, dude, you're a joker. But no one accepts your apology. Everybody knows it's insincere. Everybody knows the signs were sitting right in front of their face. And you're just trying to salvage what's left of your already broken reputation. No, we're done. Watch this.
Republicans would regularly ping me and say, why don't you ask more questions of Joe Biden and how he's doing? He's 76, 77, 78-year-old man. And I would sort of brush them off because what I would say is, well, there's no obvious evidence that he's declining. Yeah, he moves a little slower, he talks a little slower, but there's no evidence that he's declining. And the White House and the people around Joe Biden were absolutely adamant that suggesting anything, asking the question about whether he was in some physical, mental, or both decline was offensive. How could you? It's age shaming. And I think that impacted me at some level because while I did ask the question from time to time of, not directly the White House, but aides and people around in that orbit, I didn't really push on it.
Bro, it's your freaking job to push on it. Guys, when the Stuart Thompsons of the world from the New York Times critique this show and they say, Dan spends an inordinate amount of time correcting left-wing media BS, but he says it in a more using euphemisms and stuff because he doesn't want you to know the left wing is full of BS. There's a reason for it. I feel a responsibility. I do. I mean, I know that the show can be fiery. I get it. Sometimes the language, I promise I'm working on it. It's a hard thing. It's a Queen's thing. And I know sometimes we joke around, sarcasm and some humor. But I'm as serious as a heart attack when I tell you that I am absolutely committed to my audience being the best informed. There is nothing you can tweet out or put on True Social that pleases me more and puts a smile on my face when someone tweets out something like, they put my last name in it. When someone says to someone, yeah, man, I already knew that. I listened to Bongino 6 months ago. There is nothing that pleases me more. Unfortunately, we live in a country where people with a lot of eyeballs and earlobes, the left-wing commie media, they still have them, lie to you all the time. You expect me to just sit back here and let the country be misinformed? It's a political podcast. Folks, how much more of this BS are you going to take? Here's a quick example before I get back to this Biden story. Now, all of a sudden, the media's like, oh my gosh, we didn't know he was cognitively impaired.
Bunch of liars.
I got into it a little bit with not so much a liberal friend, but a friend on the left side, but not far left. And he was trying to make the case that collusion was bad. They acknowledge it, that the Russia collusion hoax, you get what I'm saying? It was a bad thing. He was making a case for it. But the person said to me, which I kind of found funny because they just don't know what they're talking about. This person said to me, yeah, but it didn't really impact the 2016 election because nobody mentioned Russian collusion before the election. So how would it impact the election? I said, bro, do you guys do any homework at all? See, my audience knows that's BS, and they're way ahead of it. Here's the receipt right here. New York Magazine, November 1st, 2016. For those of you liberal lunatics who can't follow dates, that's before the November election in 2016. Go look this article up. Final October surprises reveal the FBI is probing Trump's alleged Russian ties. I mean, what? Do you guys know anything ever? Everything you say is everything all the time. Here's another one. Everybody's upset on the left. I'll get back to the Biden thing in a second, but this is important. Everybody's upset now on the left, or pretending to be upset. They're faux upset. It's all astroturf. They're like, oh my gosh, Elon and the billionaire class. They've got this profound effect on the Republican Party. Okay, so now you care about billionaires' influence in politics after billionaire George Soros and his Soros empire and his son Alex spent hundreds of millions of dollars to get a bunch of left-wing city states attorneys and DAs in office that let criminals rampage through American cities. There's a woman who was set on fire in the New York City subway. Don't even watch that video.
No.
This is all because of left-wing DAs and a billionaire. And now the liberals are upset that a billionaire, who's not even that right-leaning, he's more of a libertarian, is allowed to exercise his free speech rights. Libs at TikTok put this to best. OMG, I can't believe a billionaire has influence in the Republican Party. Here's the very same people. Here's a little photo montage for you of the Soros crew with just about every major influential Democrat Party player right there. Nothing these people tell you is true. Folks.
Guys, look, I'm telling you this picture right here, I don't want to hear anything from the Democratic Party about having a billionaire who is influencing anybody, because this right here, we know for a fact what the Soros family is all about and what they've said about wanting to tear down the Western world, tear down America. But I'm telling you this, guys, we've got a big problem right now. Term limits is really coming up on the table now because of the things that have transpired in the past week. So right now, we have somebody who is literally at a senior home care facility. They were voted in Congress. They haven't showed up for the past 6 months. Nobody knew where they were. And everybody was like, well, they're posting on X. This person is getting paid $174,000 to be at a senior home care facility instead of working at Congress. Think about it. McConnell's episodes and Pelosi's fall capture headlines. Kay Granger's 6-month absence tells a darker story, darker truth. Everybody said 82% of Americans are supporting term limits at this point. 82% of Americans. And I know Donald Trump is, 79 or 80 or something like that. But if we go ahead and do it starting for the next elections, we can get away from a lot of this career politicians. We can get away a lot. I'm going to show you a chart in a moment from getting away from people that are over 70. The percentage has gone up exponentially because people just make it a career instead of serving their city, serving their country, and then leaving. But guys, there's more to the story. I want to show you about what happened in New York and what's going on because it's really, really sad. But what's even more sad is that who's going to be held accountable? It should be the Biden administration, but this horrific accident came from Mayorkas. It came from the Biden administration, and they need to answer to the family who lost this woman. Check this out.
An illegal immigrant is in custody after allegedly setting fire to a woman in a New York City subway. We must warn you, this video is graphic.
Well, I cut out the video, guys.
So you know what we're talking about. The NYPD accusing him of approaching a woman sleeping on a stationary train in the big New York City Adams about the illegal immigrant crisis. Incoming border czar Tom Homan. Tom, I know you were in Phoenix. You were caught up in the big speech yesterday and the president's first extensive remarks about his agenda. But from what I just told you, what are your thoughts?
Well, look, this is another example of an illegal alien killing American citizens. It's almost a daily occurrence now, you know, because historic number of criminal aliens walking the streets because of this administration's policy in sanctuary jurisdictions and lax immigration enforcement. ICE has their hands tied. Secretary Mayorkas have given them priorities that they can't even go arrest an illegal alien anymore unless he's convicted of a serious crime. Then maybe they can arrest him. So this is on this administration. As far as Governor Hochul, shame on her. She supports sanctuary status in that state. She welcomed thousands of illegal aliens to her state. She sent them to Buffalo and Syracuse. Murders occurred by illegal aliens in Buffalo and Syracuse. She has a green light law. ICE and CBP can't even work with local law enforcement. Local law enforcement can't even share DMV data with these people. So Governor Hochul, shame on you. There's nothing you can say that's going to make this right in New York.
All right, you didn't get a chance to see Secretary Mayorkas in his exit interview on CBS. Talked about how proud he is that the border is down to 50,000, so the problem is virtually solved. Here's what he said, though, when pressed by Margaret Brennan about how he loses track of children. Watch.
We certainly have received reports of children being trafficked, even those as to whom we know where they are. That is outside the responsibility of the Department of Homeland Security. Of course, we investigate cases of trafficking. But there are children who are reunited with a parent here in the United States or a legal guardian, and they move, and sometimes the government loses track.
So does that explain everything? What should I know about his statement?
It's nothing but lies. Nothing but lies. Border numbers aren't down. They're just putting them through the CBP One app and the CHNV app. You add those programs together, what Border Patrol's catching in the gotaways, we still have historic numbers. They were bragging the other day that ICE has over 247,000 removals, the most in a decade. No, they don't. If you look at the data, 80% of them were Border Patrol apprehensions that ICE just simply put across the border. ICE interior enforcement numbers are historic lows. And as far as the children, another lie. Under his guidance, under his leadership, first of all, it's his policies that caused over 500,000 of children being smuggled in this country, trafficked in this country, and they lost track with 340,000 of them. His lips are moving, he's lying, and he needs to be held accountable. Nothing he said in that interview is truthful.
And the thing is, Tom, it's not because he's naive. He knows he's not telling the truth. He worked for you. He was down there before, and he'll go ahead and implemented these problems and these policies anyway. And he also knew who to blame. Listen to this.
Summer of last year, border crossings were at record highs. Now they've dropped to the lowest level of the Biden administration. How much of that drop-off is because Mexico is now stopping migrants from even getting to that southern border of the United States?
That is critically one element of it. It is not the only element of it. The president took executive action in June of this year. That has been a key driver of the low number of encounters at our border. We are now delivering to the incoming administration a southern border at which the number of individuals encountered is well below the level experienced in 2019, the last year before the pandemic.
Your thoughts about this?
Guys, you can't make this crap up.
Another lie. The numbers are not down like they claim they are because they've taken thousands of illegal aliens, bring them to our city, straight to the airports under the CHNV program, straight into our airports from countries. Same illegal alien population, but they divide them in 3 buckets. Let's bring thousands to our airports through CHNV. Let's bring thousands a day to the CBP One app, and we're still catching thousands a day by the Border Patrol. He's lying. They take the same illegal alien population, divide them in 3 different buckets. So the encounters are not down to historic levels, like he said. And bottom line is, it isn't about the number of people you deport, it's about the number of people you release in this country. Over 8 million illegal aliens you release in this country, and that's why we have the crime rate we have today, and that's why, look, you know who's going to fix this whole problem? President Trump's going to fix this issue, because we're going to shut the border down, we're going to have the largest deportation operation this country's ever seen, and we will find over 340,000 children that you lost track of, that you released to unvetted sponsors. Many are in sex trafficking, many are in forced labor. We will rescue those children that you traffic into the United States.
Lastly, is this whole thing because of worldwide migration, and they just happen to be president, and he happens to be in office when this migration was just moving around the planet?
Look, under President Trump, we had historic lows in illegal migration. We had the most secure border in a lifetime. They came into office and purposely, by design, unsecured the border, wrote 90 executive orders abolishing everything we did to give us the most secure border in a lifetime. This wasn't an accident. This wasn't his management. This was on purpose. He needs to be held accountable.
So the illegal immigrants pride themselves on knowing American politics and knowing how to work it. I hope they're watching now. And the word is, if they are, they will turn around and they'll go back home because they're not getting in. Tom Homan, thanks.
Guys, let me tell you this. Like, it breaks my heart when I see stuff like this. But when I look at, again, too, it's not, there's so much corruption that we see. And it boils down to, I see a lot of this. More people, this is a percentage of Congress over the age of 70. So the higher the percentage goes, the more people are in Congress over 70. Look at that, since 2000, this is career politicians. This is people that they're making it a career to live on the taxpayer's dime. Instead of going in, serving a couple of terms, and then getting out and letting somebody else do their dang job. And that's why whenever we look at the people that are coming up, a lot of people, even me, guys, I thought this guy was crazy whenever he first came into office. But look at what he just said. This is Senator John Fetterman, who's a Democrat, literally starting to sound more like a Republican than a lot of Republicans. Said, I'm not rooting against Trump. If you're rooting against the president, you are rooting against the nation. Is that not some freaking common sense? Is that not like what we should be seeing? Right now, look at this. This is a chart of all the illegal immigrants that are ready, eligible to be mass deported today, that they're going to start working on day one, January 20th, whenever Trump takes office, and starting to clean out because they're already on the rolls. We essentially know where they are, and that this is where the deportation starts. Hundreds of thousands in almost every single city, 2 million in California. Guys, you cannot make this up. Why do you think they don't want to check IDs? Why do you think that they want to allow that if you even ask somebody for an ID, they'll literally put you in jail because you broke the law? And why do you think California is so blue? I'm telling you guys, it's all by design. But again, going back to this, to John Fetterman, like this is somebody who, common sense, Democrat, but this is what I feel like Democrats should be here in the United States. Listen to this.
And after you survived an assassination, you your head and had the presence of mind to respond, fight, fight, fight. I mean, that's a political talent. It's undeniable. And also, I never believed that it was about fascism. And for me, that made it difficult for
Kamala Harris said that he was a fascist.
Yeah, well, it's like that's her prerogative. I mean, but it's not a word that I would use because you put a lot of Democrats, especially in my state, that I know and I happen to love people that are going to vote for Trump, and they are not fascist. And also fascism, that's not a word that regular people, use. That, I think people are going to decide who is the candidate that's going to protect and project, my version of the American way of life. And that's what happened.
Guys, I'm telling you, look, this is common sense Democrat. This, to me, what he sounds like is like a Robert F. Kennedy. I'm sorry, not Robert F., but JFK, original JFK Democrat. And now we're getting some leaked news over what's happening in the White House from Peter Doocy. And I'm telling you guys, the leaks are coming out like never before. There's so many scandals happening right now with the White House, with Biden, with his own wife. Guys, look at this. You can't make this crap up. This is about as un-American as you can get when the First Lady of the United States, vengeful Jill Biden, is urging depressed Joe Biden to burn the whole thing down in their final days, per Daily Mail. Guys, this is messed up. You don't get no more messed up than that. Literally. Listen to this.
To the Trump transition. I spoke to Fox's chief White House correspondent here in Studio 2. Peter Doocy, welcome.
Thanks, Howie.
What has struck you about now covering the Trump transition after 4 years of following Joe Biden around?
The transition itself is a lot different because I remember in 2017, spent a lot of time in New York City and in Palm Beach, and there were these nominees coming in for tryouts or hopefuls coming in for tryouts, And then 4 years ago in Wilmington, peak COVID, they drew those little circles for us to sit in at a theater in Wilmington to see Biden, and he was out there a fair amount. He wanted to be seen. It seems like the president-elect right now is taking advantage of a break. He's already been there. He knows that a press pool is going to be on him every day, 24/7 in January, whether he likes it or not.
Seems to be running the country.
Well, there's that too. But he's able to run the country right now, kind of on vacation. This is like a vacation until next month. And so it seems like he's taking advantage.
Well, President Biden occasionally called on you and once apologized for insulting you. But in the last couple of years, it seems like he didn't really call on many reporters at all, or you'd get a couple of click comments by the helicopter. Very different style, obviously, than the incoming president.
It's been less and less and less. And my experience with President Biden is that he really liked having a chance to defend his positions. And probably 3/4 of the time with me, it was to raise his voice and show that he still got it. And there have just been fewer and fewer opportunities for that. There's this Wall Street Journal story suggesting that maybe the 50 staffers who they interviewed, very few of them who put their names on it, are suggesting that the inner circle was covering up a decline. And then you have to wonder, why would they do that?
Well, let's talk about that Wall Street Journal story because it was deeply reported. And in the last couple of years, it says that President Biden barely spoke even to Lloyd Austin or Janet Yellen, that meetings were cut short, and as well that a meeting would be canceled if he was having a bad day.
Well, remember, this time last year, Lloyd Austin was in the hospital with cardiac problems, and we didn't know about it. The president didn't know about it for a long time, which is a huge problem when there's a war going on in Ukraine that President Biden lists as a top priority. If you think back to this summer, around the time of the dropout, there were a lot of questions about President Biden's health. And there was this doctor who was a Parkinson's specialist who was cleared into the White House many, many times. We had an entire White House briefing once where almost every question was about what that doctor was doing. And we did not get clear answers. They essentially were saying, they were essentially citing HIPAA, which becomes an issue when there are legitimate questions about an older president.
He is still the president of the United States for another month. And here we go through the annual Christmas stopgap measure drama. And
President
he hasn't
Trump
said a word.
says
And Democrats don't particularly want him to weigh in, according to reporting.
It seems like he wants to stick to the things that he said when he dropped out. He said he wanted to seek a hostage and ceasefire deal. He never mentioned he wanted to help avoid a government shutdown. So that's just, however it turns out, or it's going to be dirty.
Just briefly, were you surprised at some of the details in that journal story about Biden's mental decline?
I was not surprised. I've had a lot of experiences with President Biden. I think something that you get from that story is you never really know when somebody is speaking on behalf of the president if they've actually spoken to the president. And every story like this that comes out, it seems like the circle was a lot smaller than we realized.
Giving away the trade secrets.
Guys, I'm telling you, like the scandal that's popping up, what I'm about to show you next. So over the next day or 2 days, we're going to be seeing a lot of details about the debt ceiling, about the wasteful government spending, what's going on with Rand Paul, because he's the one that for the past, I would say, 5 to 10 years, he's always been focused on making it known about the government waste, the government spending, right? Well, guess what? Trump has just announced another person being added to the DOGE team, which is phenomenal. Because what you're about to see next, guys, I'm telling you, you cannot make this stuff up. The amount of waste that we see is ridiculous. So Trump posted this on Truth. Katie Miller will soon be joining DOGE. She has been a loyal supporter of mine for many years and will bring her professional experiences to government efficiency. Katie is a deeply experienced communications professional, respected by all. Congratulations to Stephen and Katie. So again, he's adding to the DOGE team because of this. Over the years, we have found Rand Paul has always noted about billions to maybe even a couple $100 billion, which is insane to say, of government waste. Well, guess what? This year he found over $1 trillion, guys, with a T, $1 trillion of waste. This is some of the highlights, and we're going to be showing this video probably tonight or the next day. $3 million for girl-centered climate action in Brazil. Yes, not United States, Brazil. We gave $3 million to another country to focus on girl-centered climate action. $20 million for a new Sesame Street show. So it's good to know that our taxpayer dollars are going to fund a Sesame Street show, because it's not like we don't have YouTube with 1 billion other people on there doing all the same things Sesame Street did. And it's free. $10,000 for Bearded Ladies Cabaret for a climate change focused ice skate show. That's $10,000 we will we'll never get back. $365,000 for circuses in city parks. $32,500 for breakdancing. $330,000 for censoring conservative media. Guys, again, $330,000 paid to the FBI to talk through the Twitter files and what was paid to Twitter for helping to censor conservative media back before Elon owned it. $720,000 for conservation of ducks in Mexico. You will not see this on mainstream media. That's why you come here. I take care of you. I show you the actual dang real news of what the heck is going on. But now we're at the point where we've got to raise the debt ceiling, because if we don't, then Trump is going to have a hard time putting his stuff in. And at the same time, too, we're already at the debt ceiling. So it's really going to make it look worse on Trump. Listen to this.
President Biden signing the short-term spending bill into law yesterday. The continuing resolution will keep the government funded into March and provides more than $100 billion in disaster aid. But the bill did not raise the debt ceiling, despite President-elect Trump calling for it. Lawmakers now looking to raise or eliminate the debt ceiling in the first reconciliation package. House Republicans reportedly considering a plan to raise the limit by $1.5 trillion while cutting $2.5 trillion in mandatory spending. Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne telling Semaphore House Republicans have a plan for tax cuts in the first reconciliation package, finishing the bill by March. Joining me now is Texas Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne. She is a member of the House Ways and Means and Small Business Committees. Congresswoman, many Republicans support the idea of 2 reconciliation bills, with border and defense coming first, and then a second bill on taxes happening later in the year. Why do you say taxes need to be included in that first bill?
I don't think that we've actually seen 2 reconciliation packages in decades being able to be passed by the House. I think you've got very narrow majority. I think, this last election was very important. It showed that the people, of our country are very concerned about what's happening at the border, but they're also very concerned about what's happening in their pocketbooks.
Yes.
And I think moving forward on continuing with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017 and the success that it had, and recognizing the fact that that expires in 2025. And if those provisions are not extended, nearly 90% of all taxpayers in America are going to face some of the largest tax hikes that we've ever seen in our American history.
So right there, what she just said is tax cuts expire at the end of this year, the Trump tax cuts. If Trump doesn't enact that whenever he gets into office, is not able to, everybody will be paying on average almost $1,300 more in taxes to the federal government.
I think as a result, we need to prioritize the tax package and get it done earlier in the year rather than later. That being said, if we have to wait and we're prioritizing our border with the first reconciliation package, is something we definitely need to discuss. I'm looking forward to actually having a president that will sign that into law and having a Senate with a majority of Republicans that are willing to work with us on it.
Long way to go. Congresswoman, you were one of 34 House Republicans who voted against the continuing resolution. Now some lawmakers want to remove House Speaker Mike Johnson from his speakership role,
I told you guys.
including Kentucky Senator
news.
Rand Paul, who told Maria just this weekend that Johnson should lose his job. Congresswoman, explain why you voted against the continuing resolution, and do you think the House needs new leadership?
I think, I would not want Mike Johnson's job right now. Being the speaker, when you have such narrow majorities and you've got such a diversity of opinion of Republicans, of Republican House members, it's very difficult to try to come to a consensus. I voted against the continuing resolution, as I always have, because I have fought against over government spending, which is what we have seen. This will be my third term. We always seem to wait until the last minute to negotiate some of these things. And it's the overspending that has gotten us 20% inflation. It's the overspending and the overreach that has gotten us $36 trillion in debt. We need to attack that. And we need to counter, though, if we're going to lift the debt ceiling, like we have discussed, having those cuts and having the debt ceiling risen by 1.5 trillion, but also having additional cuts of 2.5 trillion is something I think we can definitely work with. But continuing the same level of Pelosi spending and then some, continuing the same level of spending that we had during the pandemic, I just think that, when we look at the causes of the last election, and again, when you're looking at the economy, we have got to address that.
Yes. Spending has been totally out of control. Congresswoman, you're taking a lot of action on the border before President Trump takes office. You recently introduced the Voter Eligibility Verification Act, which requires citizenship and immigration services to respond to state inquiries regarding citizenship data within 30 days of receiving that request. You also introduced the No Congressional Funds for Sanctuary Cities Act, while starting a new effort encouraging officials in your district to work with ICE in deporting criminal illegal immigrants. Your plan to work closely with Texas mayors to coordinate efforts with law enforcement. Congresswoman, I know you used to be the mayor of Irving, Texas. Explain to us, if you could, how closely these state officials can work with ICE.
Oh, it's fantastic. If you actually, we don't have the resources at the federal government level to be able to be in, neighborhoods to know what's going on in every single city, which is why you want to partner with local law enforcement. And when I was the mayor of Irving, when I was on the city council in Irving, we had a great partnership with Immigration and Customs Enforcement. If people were stopped in our city for committing a crime, they were detained if they were suspected of not being in our country legally. ICE came and interviewed them, and if they were found to be here illegally, they were deported. We got a lot of negative criticism from places like California and New York, but as a result, what we found was our city became the 5th safest city in the country. Our crime plummeted. And we actually had people and businesses that wanted to move to our city. We became one of the fastest growing areas of the country. That is a result of having, safe neighborhoods, which is, I think, again, what we heard overwhelmingly people want in the last election. Partnering with Immigration and Customs Enforcement at the local level is the most efficient and most effective way possible. You've got a border czar, a senior advisor to the incoming president with Tom Homan, who has the respect, who has the knowledge, who's got the experience to be able to get these things done. And I will, work with every single mayor. We intend on having some roundtables next month with our mayors to teach them these are the partnerships, this is our experience, and this is how you can succeed in working with, federal law enforcement and protecting your citizens. And we want to make sure that they've got every tool, every resource available to be able to do that.
EJ, did you have a thought on this?
Congresswoman, one of the things that, although the Trump tax cut was incredibly effective, one of the things I think that reduced its effectiveness was the incredible delay in actually getting it done, getting across the finish line the first time around. Do you anticipate that the speaker's actually going to be able to get it done and get it done early so that we don't have a delay and so that we don't have those tremendous lags in terms of economic activity where people essentially are pausing, whether it's investment, consumption, whatever the case may be, waiting to see if you're going to be able to get that tax cut across the finish line?
Businesses definitely can work with the rules if they know what they are. They're not constantly changing. They need consistency. And again, I think that's important. That's the benefit of having, the tax package in the first reconciliation bill, the only reconciliation bill that we may be able to pass. I think it's important that businesses know that as a result of the TCJA, we saw so much investment. We saw so much economic growth. We saw so many companies bringing back their manufacturing to, our land as opposed to in foreign countries. And we saw them investing in their employees. We saw them investing in the future of the business. I think those tax cuts, that tax plan will be necessary for the economic growth of our future. And I intend on working in ways and means, and I'm working with the rest of our conference to make sure that we're able to bring that over the finish line.
Congresswoman Beth Van Duyne, thank you for being with us this morning.
Guys, I love it, guys. The amount of things that are coming, and it's all looking really good, and I love it. Thank you so much, Leigh Lewis. She said, I fell and broke my hip. I'm so sorry, Leigh. but I still had to jump on here for the news. Let's go. And Paul Triggs, thank you so much. First timer, super chat. And he gave another one. Y'all show Paul and lay some love in the chat, guys. What a blessing. You got Donald Trump here who literally he's a troll. He is. He does troll, but he said, welcome to the United States Canal. So not only is he saying like, somebody posted, I gotta show you this, guys. Somebody posted like the I think it was one of the Panamanian. Wait, I gotta say this right because this is hilarious, guys. He said, leading report: Panama's president fires back at Trump, saying every square meter of the canal and its surrounding area is sovereign Panamanian territory, and Trump literally responds with, "We'll see about that." And then you got Trump, who's also revisiting the Greenland purchase idea amid the ambassador announcement. And then the prime minister of Greenland says, tell Trump we are not for sale. Look, that ain't stopping Trump from, I think that there's some deals that he's going to try to make. He wants to, I feel like if there's anything that he can do to solidify himself as like one of the greatest presidents ever, which I think he already is, but to everybody, is to grow the United States actual footprint, grow the economy like it's never been done before, and then cut government, make it limited, and clean out the swamp. Those things are really going to just skyrocket him and, comparative to all the other presidents. But I want to say thank you to everybody that's watching. If you're not subscribed, please do so. This is the giving season. If you want to give me a subscribe, a like, I would appreciate it so much. Thank you, What's New, for the super chat. Let's go. Said thank you, Joel and mods. Thank you so much, everybody, for your kind words. I see you. Love y'all, brother. Mr. Norby, Paul Triggs, Prophetic Now, Christopher Reed, all y'all. Man, y'all are amazing members of the channel. Let's go. And also, too, if you don't mind, click the thumbs up like button. It really does help out. And thank you to everybody that's given a super chat donation. I want to give some shout outs to Lay Lewis, Paul Triggs, What's New. Guys, we couldn't do it without y'all. Everybody that's given over time, whether it's Deanna Scott, Geoff, Campgoer 1, B1 Sly 1, Mr. Norby, Prophetic Now. Guys, we were able to give our biggest donation, and I'm going to be posting that video probably tomorrow, tomorrow night, of just the segment of us giving and showing you we were able to give the most money we've ever given on this channel, $15,000, guys, to Christmas for Christ, and it's all because of you. We want to be a channel that's known for giving. We want to be a channel that's known for not just reporting amazing news, the breaking news, but reporting that we're giving back and bringing a positive change, and we couldn't do it without you. We're here. Now, tomorrow, Christmas Eve, we're going to do one show. Christmas Day, we're going to do one show. And then we'll come back on Thursday with 2 shows on Thursday, 2 shows on Friday, 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. But that's our normal thing. Monday through Friday, 2 shows per day, and then 1 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday, unless there's a holiday. But, guys, we're here for you. We're here to bring you the best breaking news every single day. America first, baby. I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. We're all American first. I love you all. Appreciate you so much. And we'll see you in the next one.